Conestoga Conversations Indigenous Edition. In this series, every conversation with student recruiters will be exploring the programs, pathways, and clusters at Conestoga College. From a one-year college certificate to 4 years honors degree, Conestoga has multiple ways to help you reach your goals. In today's conversation, we're going to be talking about the welding cluster programs at our Cambridge campus.
Some of you may be wondering, what does a student recruiter do? We are specialists in helping future or prospective students by providing reliable information about programs and services, answering any Conestoga-related questions on a one-to-one basis and within group settings, and leading you on virtual tours, and once we're back to normal, touring through our 8 campus locations. Conestoga student recruiters work with Indigenous students, students interested in degrees, trades and apprenticeships, and the general population.
My name is Roxane Shawana. I'm the Indigenous recruiter at Conestoga College, and I'm from Macomacong, unceded territory on beautiful Manitoulin Island.
And my name is Elisha Rivard, and I work with the general population, and I have a background in career development. We will be talking today about our welding engineering clustered programs at our Cambridge campus. We're really excited. Today we have Joe Barnes, the coordinator of the welding engineering and technology programs at the Cambridge campus, joining us today. Joe, why don't you introduce yourself to everybody?
Well, thank you both very much for the opportunity to speak today. As mentioned, my name is Joe Barnes. I am the program coordinator for the engineering technology program. As we progress through the discussion today, my role includes overseeing 3 of the programs that we'll discuss today. There are a few others that we'll also touch on. Another coordinator, Jim Galloway, is my partner in crime, as we kind of help students navigate the ins and outs of Conestoga, particularly in the welding cluster programs, making sure that they're best suited for the program that they've selected, and providing them with pathways should their needs change through their duration at Conestoga College.
That's awesome. There's different types of programs available at the college in our School of Engineering and Technology. A few quick notes about the pathways in this cluster. The Technology Foundation program assists with upgrading your math requirements, future program choices, and assists with transition to college life and workload. This program will enable students to gain admission requirements to enter into a 3-year engineering technology program. Conestoga has programs that are 1 to 4 years in length. A few examples within our engineering cluster include a 1-year college certificate, such as our welding techniques, 2-year diploma programs, such as our welding engineering technician, robotics and welding, and fabrication technician, 3-year advanced diplomas, such as our welding engineering technology, inspection and manufacturing engineering technology, welding, and robotics. Many of our 3-year advanced diplomas have optional co-ops. There's 4 years honors degree with mandatory co-ops and grad certs. As just another note, all the 3-year programs in this engineering cluster meet the Ontario Association of Certified Engineering Technicians and Technologists. So they conditionally recognize this program as meeting all the academic requirements for certification in the Certified Engineering Technologist category. And now we're going to let Joe describe a lot or everything about our welding programs at the college. Take her away, Joe.
All right, thanks, Roxane. This slide's a little bit busy, but it really provides an overview of everything that we offer in the welding cluster at the Cambridge campus. Starting with that foundation year. So our foundation year is the exact same for every one of the 5 programs that we're going to discuss today. The welding techniques, the welding and fabrication technician, the welding technician robotics, and the two of the 3-year technology programs. They all share the exact same first year. The only exception is the math requirement. So the engineering technology math is a little bit of engineering based rather than trades based. So those are the only courses that would be different in that initial foundation year. The reason we've set the programs up in this way is to allow students an opportunity to explore welding, maybe for the first time. A lot of our students that come in here haven't had an opportunity through the high school system to experience enough hands-on experience with welding, or they had just a taste, but they don't really know exactly where this education can take them. So that foundation year kind of offers an opportunity to explore the different welding processes and I guess some of the theory behind it. At which point they have an opportunity to transfer into the second year of any of the other 4 programs after the techniques. So students can, if they've been enrolled in the techniques program, they can jump right into welding and fabrication technician or the welding technician robotics program right away. To make the leap into the second year of the engineering technology programs, all they would need to do, even though the math was a little bit different in that first year, is make sure that they have a 70% average in those 2 math classes, and then they would automatically be accepted or granted admission into the second year of the technology programs. The second year of the technology programs, the 2 in green there, they're also a common year. Okay, so as students are starting to explore different avenues within the welding field, we start to transition a little bit more away from the hands-on skills development that students would experience in that foundation year, and we start to look at the science and engineering behind welding. Okay, so we take it up a little bit on a knowledge-based standpoint. So we do a lot more experimentation in the shops. Okay, so a lab-based program. I will mention that in every one of these years, regardless of which program you're in, we're sitting roughly about 50 to 60% of your time in a hands-on environment. Okay, whether it be in a shop, computer lab, robotic lab, or non-destructive evaluation, testing facility. So there's lots of hands-on opportunity to play with. I do more of the robotic stuff, so playing with the giant toys in the lab and getting them to dance around and do things that you need them to do from a welding standpoint. At the end of that second year in the technology field is where students start to look at specializing in either manufacturing and robotics in the welding side or welding inspection. In reality, there's 4 courses between the 2 that are different in that third year. So there is some overlap. You're still going to be progressing through with the same students you started with. We end up having a little bit smaller class sizes on those 4 specific vocational courses in the stream that students have selected. As I mentioned, that second year is common. What we see now, what I'm in the middle of doing right now as the semester wraps up, is looking at and processing a bunch of program transfers. So that second year, students have had a chance to experience robotics. Okay, so the first time they've had their hands on a robotic teach pennant and getting it to do some welding. First time they've had a chance with inspection methods. So everybody in that second year gets an opportunity to explore those 2 streams. And then we see students start to switch. I feel more comfortable with robots, or I feel more comfortable with codes and standards and inspections. So we see students move around quite a bit after they've had an opportunity to explore it. Again, it's set up in such a way that it makes it easy for students to transfer as they progress through the different levels. The robotic welding and technician, welding technician robotics program, that's a new one for us at Conestoga. This is the first year that we have a cohort starting. So we're just about to start our 3rd semester with that group of students. We're seeing a big interest. The enrollment numbers and everything are climbing for next year as it starts to gain some recognition and we get the word out there for students. So the 2 I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about are the ones over in red. So these are our apprenticeship programs. I will say that after that foundation year, students have an opportunity to meet the curriculum requirements to challenge their level 1 entry exam into the apprenticeship program without having to do much more than write the test at that point. And same thing with the welding and fabrication technician program. After successfully completing the second year, there is a pathway for them to enter into the apprenticeship with an advanced standing, assuming that they had maintained a minimum average throughout the program. Okay.
That's awesome. So Joe, just to add here, so math is actually really important in these programs, right?
Yes,
Right?
and more. I would say more so on the technology side of things. So again, I mentioned briefly that when we look at enrolling directly into the technology stream, the requirement coming out of high school is a little bit different than if you're directly enrolling into the foundation year, the techniques, or the two technician programs.
Yeah.
Having said that, though, we help students that have concerns about that requirement. We start them off in that techniques program with the understanding that if they maintain that 70 average in those two math courses, they can progress into the programs that they would like to.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, and I was just going to mention too, like if you are in these programs and you are struggling with math, we do have supports, tutoring, one-on-one, peer tutoring, and I know faculty, they're amazing. You can talk to them as well. So Joe, just what I want to do, Roxane's going to flip to the next slide. I just wanted to know, just really briefly, a little bit about these programs and maybe what students can do when they're done.
Sure, absolutely. So with the techniques program, again, it's a one-year certificate program, really geared towards hands-on skills development in the welding processes. So everything from stick welding, MIG welding, TIG welding, oxy-fuel cutting, plasma cutting, all those things that require some hands-on skill, we provide in that first year for all the students. Where we see students that enroll in this program and graduate from this program, they become production welders. Right? They start working in fabrication shops, doing some of the welding that we see in those. And what we see in our local market is that there is a pretty big demand for students with those skills to start out in that welding field. I can talk about the next one. Yeah, welding and fabrication technician program. This one we spend the second year a significant amount of time in the fabrication shop. So students get a little bit more experience in using manufacturing and fabrication equipment to manually design, not just build, but form and shape metal parts before they get welded. So our students a significant amount of time in that space. Designing in AutoCAD environment. We teach some CAD CAM, so more advanced 3D modeling type stuff as well. And we see a lot of students from this program have a lot of success locally here. There are a bunch of fabrication shops and companies that come to us year after year after year for graduates. What we see from those companies as well is that they'll actually promote those students into an apprenticeship later on. So we see those students come back for level 2, level 3 apprenticeship programs after they've had some, I hate to say this term, real world experience out in industry doing what they love.
That sounds great, though. Like, what an opportunity for students.
Oh, it's fantastic. That the fabrication technician program fills up every year. So we're very proud of what we have, and I'll talk about the facilities a little bit later. But from the robotics side of things, specifically in the welding streams, again, I mentioned this 2-year robotic technician program is new to us. It was actually an idea brought to us by industry through our program advisory committee. There's a huge need, particularly in southwestern Ontario, where we see the increase in robotic automation. It's kind of taken over this high volume type production like you would find in automotive manufacturing. So lots of automotive around here. We need people to maintain and run that equipment. So this 2-year program is designed to help companies fill a need in their facilities. And we're seeing a lot of desire for graduates of that program. We can't get them out fast enough from that standpoint. And again, these individuals we envision, based on the feedback from companies and the ones that have driven us to create a program like this, they need people to help run their manufacturing facilities from a robotic welding standpoint. The 3-year technology program, these companies I just mentioned used to hire our 3-year grads. However, our 3-year grads tend to have some higher ambitions maybe. They're looking for a little bit more of a challenge in some regards. Not to say that the other positions I mentioned wouldn't be challenging, but they're looking for roles and integration. So helping with the design and build of robotic systems for welding applications, rather than running and maintaining them on a daily basis. We see the grads in this field end up in lead hand positions in some of these automotive facilities, helping with cost reduction opportunities. How do we make it faster, better quality, things like that. Designing welding parameters and procedures for new materials that are being produced annually, again, to fill some of those manufacturing facilities. All right, the inspection program is a little bit more unique in the sense that we see a lot of need, particularly right now. I'll speak right now. The nuclear industry is clamoring for graduates with expertise in welding inspection methods. As you can imagine, it's a very quality-driven industry. We don't want things going wrong in a nuclear facility. So these testing opportunities tend to be desirable. The one thing I'll mention with this one, not to mislead anybody, is that certification in these inspection testing methods still needs to occur outside of their time at Conestoga. So there are third-party testing bodies that need to certify the individuals. We bring them up to a certain level in these 3-year technology programs, and then employers take them on, understanding that they have a certain level, and then they invest in training them even further. So we see a lot of need for students in this, graduates in this field as well. And again, we see students travel all over Canada in roles like this to help fill the need.
Ooh, interesting.
I mentioned earlier,
training.
Training facilities. This is the portion that we are extremely proud of here at Conestoga College. Having an opportunity to travel to the few other colleges or universities that offer this type of training, I can say unequivocally that we are pretty well second to none. Our robotic training facility lab, we have 6 dedicated full-size industrial robots, all equipped with welding power sources. We have a variety of them, so students are learning different platforms as they progress through the program. Within that lab space as well, we look at offline programming. So in the virtual world, the students can design and build a system to test it and see how it works, with the intent that they can then download that program into the physical space and have the robot execute on the program that the students created. From a fabrication standpoint and our welding facility standpoint, we have our skills training portion of that shop. We have 44 welding booths fit up with all the different welding processes that I mentioned earlier, as well as oxy-fuel cutting and brazing. So even though our class sizes can sometimes be, up to that 44, 45 students, we do have lots of instructors on hand. So when we have a class that size, we have a main instructor and then a technologist and another faculty member. So we've got 3, I don't want to say adults in the room, but that's not the right way to put that. But we have 3 instructors there to help. So there's still lots of one-on-one time as we progress through the skills. From a fabrication standpoint, we've got CNC cutting equipment, CNC brake press equipment. We've got all the manual saws, drills, things like that students need to start with before we move them into the more advanced and complicated equipment. So lots of opportunity for hands-on in there as well. The last one I'll point out is our materials testing lab. So the image on the right, we've got a student in there that performed some welding. They've cut it down, they've polished it up to a mirror finish, and now we're taking a look at the microscopic view of what that weld looks like. So not only do we get into the sciencey stuff in that room, but we also get into explaining that science. Okay, so we can see it, and now we need the students to explain what's happening. So that's one portion of that. We do some other destructive testing. We make things and then we pull it apart. Right? So we get to break it. A lot of students, that's what they enjoy doing. Let me make something that just to break it again. So lots of opportunity, again, hands-on active learning opportunities.
So here's some information. If you would like to connect with Joe to talk about any of these programs that he's talked about today, we'll make sure you have his contact information. If you want to hear anything else about Conestoga's programs, pathways, or clusters, or maybe as a starting point here into the college, you can feel free to connect with us. You can set up a Zoom conversation, you can text ourselves, or you can shoot us an email, whatever is your preferred method of communication. So until next time, Bama P.